The 2014 FIFA World Cup will always be remembered as one of the greatest sporting events that the world has ever seen. The vibes in Brazil were electric, the hype around the tournament was at an all-time high, and the football being played on the pitch was truly spectacular. Whether you remember this tournament for James Rodriguez showing up on the biggest stage, a young Neymar carrying an entire nation on his back, or the heartbreak that came with Leo Messi's loss in the final, there truly was something special for every fan, no matter which part of the world you found yourself in. Today we take a look at all 64 matches that were played in this tournament and rank them on an S to F scale while looking back at some of the best moments in the competition. Alright, let's go. Brazil 3, Croatia 1. The opening match of the World Cup saw Brazil concede an incredibly unlucky own goal in the first 12 minutes as Marcelo would be responsible for Croatia's opener. Neymar would equal the scoring in the 29th minute with his first of many goals in this World Cup coming from 25 yards out. Neymar would score again in the 71st minute from the penalty spot after Lovren's somewhat controversial foul on Fred. Croatia would have their equalizer disallowed with Oscar scoring the third and final goal in added time. This game was one of many firsts, with the first ever opening goal at the World Cup coming from an own goal, the first match to use vanishing spray for free kick marking, and the use of goal line technology. A great way to start off the tournament. This match goes into the B tier today. Mexico 1, Cameroon 0. A controversial match saw Giovanni Dos Santos have 2 goals disallowed for offside in the first half, even though replays showed that he was onside for both goals. Since this was before the time of VAR, both goals were disallowed and the match went into halftime at 0-0. In the 61st minute, Oribe Peralta would score the only goal for the Mexican side, which was enough to win the game. A lackluster matchup apart from the first half drama, this match can go into the C tier. Spain 1, Netherlands 5. The highly anticipated rematch of the 2010 World Cup final produced an all-time classic. Xabi Alonso would score the opener from the penalty spot, but that would be the only highlight for the Spanish side that day. Robin van Persie would equal the scoring with an unforgettable diving header in the 44th minute, bringing the game level going into halftime. The Dutch side came out with all their strength in the second half, with 4 total goals from Robin, De Vrij, and Van Persie securing the win for the reigning runners-up. A historic day for the Dutch, but an all-time embarrassment for the Spaniards. This match goes into the S tier. Chile 3, Australia 1. A match that saw Chile go up by 2 goals in the space of 3 minutes was quite entertaining to watch. Alexis Sanchez would get his first goal in the 12th minute, with Tim Cahill opening his scoring account in the 35th minute. A last-minute goal in added time would be enough to give the South American side a comfortable win in their opening match. A solid game, but also quite forgettable. It'll settle for the C tier today. Colombia 3, Greece 0. A pretty disappointing showing from the Greek side gave Colombia an easy win in their opening group game. Goals from Armero and Gutierrez in the 5th and 58th minute would give Colombia the confidence they needed, with James Rodriguez introducing himself on the big stage with a goal in the last few minutes of the game. A solid win from the South American side. This match goes into the C tier today. Uruguay 1, Costa Rica 3. The first of many shocks of this tournament came in this match, as Costa Rica provided the world with an all-time upset. Cavani opened the scoring in the 24th minute from the penalty spot, and Keylor Navas prevented a second goal after saving Diego Forlan's shot later on. Costa Rica would shock us all in the second half, as Joel Campbell would equalize in the 54th minute and Oscar Duarte would score just 3 minutes later. Marco Urenia would score the final goal in the 84th minute, as Maxi Pereira was given a straight red card in stoppage time. A game that gave Costa Rica life while sucking it out of the Uruguayan side. A great match that will always be remembered. It can go into the A tier. England 1, Italy 2. A clash between two heavyweights in the strongest group of the tournament produced a solid match overall. Marchisio would score the opening goal for Italy in the 35th minute, with Daniel Sturridge equalizing just 2 minutes later. Balotelli would score the winner for Italy from an impressive header, as the Italians would come out victorious in a tightly contested match. A decent game between two strong opponents. This match goes into the B tier. Ivory Coast 2, Japan 1. A match that most of us probably forgot about saw the African side come out in a very evenly contested matchup. Honda scored the first goal for Japan after a quick throw-in and would put the Japanese side up going into halftime. The African side would strike back in the second half, scoring 2 goals in 2 minutes from Bosnia and Herzegovina to secure the win. Not the most memorable, but still entertaining. This match goes into the C tier. Switzerland 2, Ecuador 1. A decent match between two good teams, with the European side come out with the win in the very last minutes. Ecuador would take the lead after Valencia scored from a free kick, scoring the only goal of the half. Switzerland would bounce back in the 48th minute, with Mehmedi scoring from the corner kick. It looked like it was going to play out to a draw, but Seferovic would score from a cross with just 20 seconds left in the game, giving Switzerland their first World Cup win over South American opposition. Another decent matchup. This game goes into the C tier. France 3, Honduras 0. A game that saw France as the heavy favorites also saw them come out with the win. Benzema would open the scoring with a penalty in the 45th minute after Palacios was shown his second yellow card of the game. Honduras would score an own goal just minutes into the second half, which led to a great deal of confusion with the goal line technology system, as France would eventually be given a 2-0 lead. Benzema would score a second of the game later on, and France cruised to an easy 3-0 victory. A solid match overall. It'll go into the C tier. Argentina 2, Bosnia and Herzegovina 1. Argentina's opening match saw them come out with a win over World Cup debutants Bosnia and Herzegovina. Messi's free kick was deflected off of Kolasinac's head, giving Argentina the lead within 3 minutes. Messi scored his first of the tournament in the 65th minute with an absolutely beautiful run and shot off the left post, as Ibisevic scored the country's first ever World Cup goal in the 85th minute. An entertaining opening match in Group F. This game goes into the B tier. Germany 4, Portugal 0. The most anticipated match of Group G between two great teams did not disappoint. Muller opened the scoring in the 12th minute after Germany was awarded a penalty, with Hummels doubling the advantage from a corner kick in the 32nd. Pepe provided us with one of the best moments of the group stage after he headbutted Muller and was sent off before halftime. Muller added to his tally in added time and would cap off his hat-trick with a close-range effort in the 78th minute. Germany showed up in an exciting game that was also Portugal's worst loss in World Cup history, history. A classic match that won't be forgotten anytime soon. This game goes into the S tier. Iran 0, Nigeria 0, and a match that saw very few chances. Both teams ended up settling for 1 point each. Nigeria controlled possession while having 4 shots on target, committing 0 offsides and having 7 corners throughout the match. This match saw 34 fouls being committed in total, with the only yellow card coming to Iran in the 75th minute. The first goalless match in the first draw of the tournament, this uneventful contest goes into the F tier today. Ghana 1, USA 2. The United States came into the tournament feeling more confident than ever, and they showed up in their first match. Dempsey scored one of the fastest goals in World Cup history, giving the States the advantage in just 30 seconds. Ghana would control possession for most of the game, and their chance would come in the 82nd minute after a goal from Ayew would tie the match. The game winner would come from the States, as Burks would score the winner from a great header. Although they would win the game, the States would lose Altidore to injury after coming off from the 21st minute. All in all, a solid game from both teams, and one that goes into the C tier today. Belgium 2, Algeria 1. Belgium went into this match looking like the favorites, but quickly found themselves down to a strong Algerian side. Faghouli would score the opener from the penalty spot in the 25th minute, and that would be good enough for the first half. Belgium would go on to tie the game in the 70th minute with a header from Fellaini, and would win the game with a goal from Mertens in the 80th minute. A decent match that tested the Belgian squad. This game goes into the C tier. Brazil 0, Mexico 0. In a great display of goalkeeping abilities, it was Mexico that were able to defend Brazil for 90 minutes. Ochoa was the star of the show, making 4 incredible saves to deny Neymar, Paulinho, and Silva, which would earn him the Man of the Match award. Mexico did a good job keeping possession, but their 10 shots off target was a poor showing on the attacking side. Ochoa's heroics made this game memorable, and even with no goals, it can still go into the B tier today. Russia 1, South Korea 1. An exciting matchup between two solid sides did not provide very much excitement. Both teams went scoreless in the first half, and there wasn't a whole lot to get excited about. South Korea would go on to score the opener in the 68th minute after Akinfeev spilled the ball and embarrassingly conceded Russia's first goal of the tournament. Russia would respond quickly in the 74th minute, as that would be the last goal of the contest, ending in a stale 1-1 draw. A pretty lackluster match. This game goes into the D tier. Australia 2, Netherlands 3. A great game in the second round of Group B saw the Netherlands come out victorious. Robin would score the opening goal in the 20th minute, but it wouldn't take long for Australia to respond. Cahill scored one of the best goals of the World Cup after his volley went off the crossbar to beat Silesen. Jedinak would score Australia's second from the spot, but Van Persie would equalize minutes later, and Depay found the back of the net after a long-range effort in the 68th minute. A back-and-forth game that is great to look back on. This match goes into the A tier. Spain 0, Chile 2. Spain went into this match knowing that a loss would mean elimination, and that's exactly what happened. Vargas would score the opener in the 20th minute, and Aranguiz would capitalize on Sanchez's free kick, putting Chile up by 2 going into halftime. Spain's best chance came from Busquets, who missed the goal at close range. Chile would go on to qualify for the round of 16, while Spain would go crashing out of the tournament, ending their hopes of winning back-to-back World Cups. A solid game overall. This contest goes into the B tier today. Cameroon 0, Croatia 4. Croatia looked to bounce back from their opening loss to Brazil, and that's exactly what they did. The first half saw Olic score the opener in the 11th minute, and a straight red card being issued to Song just minutes before halftime. The 10-man Cameroon side didn't stand a chance after Perisic scored in the 48th minute, and Mandzukic scored a brace in the 61st and 73rd minute, which eliminated Cameroon from the tournament. A one-sided contest that saw Croatia live to see another day. This match goes into the C tier. Colombia 2, Ivory Coast 1. Both teams went into this match with a win on their record and looking to secure their spot into the round of 16. Rodriguez would score the opener in the 64th minute after a goalless first half with a great header from the corner. Quintero would go on to score Colombia's second, with Gervinho scoring the only goal for Ivory Coast. Colombia would go to the top of the group with this win, while Ivory Coast would have to seal their fate on the final day. A decent match overall. This game goes into the C tier. Uruguay 2, England 1. Both teams went into this game knowing it was a win-or-go-home situation, and it was the South American side that came out on top. Suarez scored the opener after a cross from Cavani and took his team to halftime with a 1-0 lead. Rooney scored his first World Cup goal in the 75th minute, but it wouldn't be enough, as Suarez would score his second goal in the 85th minute, giving Uruguay the win and a crucial 3 points in the group. A great game that saw England go home early. This match goes into the B tier. Greece 0, Japan 0. Japan went into this match needing at least 1 point to remain in the competition, and that's exactly what they got. Greece would be reduced to 10 men in the 30th minute and would have a header save in the second half. Japan had a few chances to score, and even with 68% possession, they came out empty-handed as the match finished 0-0. A forgettable match in all aspects. The match goes into the F tier. Italy 0, Costa Rica 1. Costa Rica continued their once-in-a-lifetime story with a famous win over Italy. Balotelli had Italy's best chance in the first half, but found his lob ball going just wide. Costa Rica would be denied a penalty after Campbell was fouled in the penalty spot, which infuriated the Costa Rican bench. Just seconds later, Ruiz would head the ball off the crossbar to score Costa Rica's first and only goal. They would hold on to get the win and qualified for the knockout stage for the first time since 1990. A great game with a result that no one expected. This match goes into the A tier. Switzerland 2, France 5. The highest scoring game of the group stage saw France come out with an impressive win over the Swiss side. France would score 2 quick goals from Giroud and Matuidi in the 17th and 18th minute. Benzema would go on to miss a penalty, with Kabai's rebound hitting the crossbar in a wild sequence of events. Valbuena would score France's third of the match, going into halftime with a commanding lead. France added 2 more goals from Benzema and Sissoko in the 67th and 73rd minutes, giving the French side a 5-0 lead. Switzerland would score 2 consolation goals, but would ultimately lose in embarrassing fashion. A thrilling game that saw attacking action from start to finish. This game goes into the A tier. Honduras 1, Ecuador 2. A must-win match for both sides saw Ecuador narrowly come out on top. Honduras would lead the match for 3 minutes after scoring in the 31st, but conceded quickly in the 34th to bring the game level, going going to halftime. Valencia would score a second of the match in the 65th minute as Ecuador would hang on to secure 3 points in the group. A decent match from start to finish, this game goes into the C tier. Argentina 1, Iran 0. A game that saw Argentina dominate in almost every statistical category was much closer than anticipated. The highlight of the match came in the 55th minute when Iran were denied a penalty that would have changed the momentum of the game. Many attempts were saved from goalies on both ends of the pitch, but it would be Messi who would break the deadlock after an incredible curling effort from outside the box. This win would be enough to secure knockout round action for Argentina with 6 points from 2 matches. A solid match from start to finish, this game goes into the C tier. Germany 2, Ghana 2. An uneventful first half saw both teams come flying out the gates in the second. Costa opened the scoring for Germany in the 51st minute, with Ayew equalizing for Ghana just 3 minutes later. Guyana would score the second goal for Ghana in the 63rd minute after a defensive mistake from Lam, and Klose would score the equalizer for Germany after 2 minutes on the field as a substitute. Klose's 15th World Cup goal put him equal at the top of the all-time list as both teams fought out for a draw. A great game from start to finish, this match goes into the B tier. Nigeria 1, Bosnia and Herzegovina 0. A match that saw Bosnia fighting for their spot in the tournament ended in controversial fashion. Bosnia thought they had taken the lead after Dzeko's goal, only for it to be ruled as offside, which was the wrong call. Nigeria would go on to score just 7 minutes later as Bosnia's hopes and dreams came to an abrupt and disappointing end. A match that is defined by the mistakes of a referee, this game goes into the D tier. Belgium 1, Russia 0. A pretty uneventful match saw Belgium scoring late to take down Russia. Cochrane had the best chance for Russia in the first half, missing the net from close up. Origi would come on in the 57th minute and would end up scoring the only goal in the contest in the 88th minute as Belgium would collect 3 more points for their tally. A rather forgetful match that didn't produce much, it can go into the D tier. South Korea 2, Algeria 4. A 6-goal thriller saw Algeria come out in a crucial match for their knockout round chances. 2 quick goals in the 26th and 28th minute put Algeria in a commanding position, with a third goal coming just 10 minutes later. South Korea scored in the 50th minute to cut the deficit down to 2, but a goal from Brahimi in the 62nd minute sealed the deal for the Algerian side, with Korea getting one last consolation goal in the 72nd minute. An offensive masterclass from the very start, this match goes into the B tier. USA 2, Portugal 2. Portugal looked to bounce back after their embarrassing performance in the opening game, but they didn't look great in this game either. Nani came out and scored the opener in the 5th minute and ended up hitting the post on a long-range effort before halftime. Jones would score in the 64th minute, with Dempsey adding to the tally in the 81st. The United States were looking to advance to the knockouts while also eliminating Portugal, but in the 5th minute of stoppage time, Ronaldo's cross led to Varela's header, which was enough to tie the game. It was non-stop action from the get-go, and this game goes into the B tier today. Netherlands 2, Chile 0. A match between two teams who had already qualified saw the Netherlands come out on top of Group A. An underwhelming first half saw the Dutch side come out strong in the second half, as Fer would come out and score the opener in the 77th minute, and Depay would score the second and final goal at added time. The Netherlands would become the first of 4 teams to come out of the group stage with 3 wins, with Chile following as runners-up. A solid game between 2 good teams, this match goes into the C tier. Australia 0, Spain 3. A match between 2 teams that had already been eliminated from the tournament was really just about playing for pride. Villa would score the opener with a beautiful back flick in the 36th minute. Torres and Mata would add to the tie in the 69th and 82nd minutes, as Spain cruised to victory over a deflated Australian side. A solid match, even with nothing on the line, it can go into the C tier. Cameroon 1, Brazil 4. Cameroon faced their final test of the tournament against the hosts and suffered defeat in embarrassing fashion. Neymar would score the opener in the 17th minute, followed by a cross from the left which found Matip, equalizing the game at 1-1. It would be Cameroon's only goal of the day, as Neymar, Fred, and Fernandinho would add 3 more goals to give Brazil a +5 goal differential in the standings, which would be enough to secure first place over Mexico. A great way for Brazil to close out Group A, it can go into the B tier. Croatia 1, Mexico 3. In a must-win game for Croatia, it was the European side which fell short of the knockouts. The game was scoreless for the first 72 minutes and looked to end as a draw until Marquez scored from a header, giving Mexico the lead. Guardado added another goal just 3 minutes later, with Hernandez scoring in the 82nd minute to give Mexico the lead that would send them to the knockouts. Perisic would score a consolation goal in the 87th minute, but the Croatians were heading out of the tournament with just 3 points from 3 games. A fun game to watch after the 70th minute, this match goes into the B tier. Italy 0, Uruguay 1. A match that will forever be remembered for a bite rather than a goal happened in this Group D matchup. A goalless first half led to Italy being shown the red card in the 59th minute after a questionable tackle from Marchisio. In the 79th minute, Suarez would bite the shoulder of Chiellini in an off-ball incident that will forever be remembered. Amidst the confusion, Uruguay won a corner, which resulted in Godin scoring the only goal of the game. This goal would be enough for Uruguay to qualify for the knockouts, and the second time in back-to-back World Cups that Italy had been eliminated in the group stages. A great match that will be remembered for many different reasons, it can go into the B tier. Costa Rica 0, England 0. A match between 2 sides who were either going to the knockouts or going home, regardless of the scoreline, produced a 0-0 match with plenty of missed chances. It was pretty even in terms of possession, but it was England who ended up with 5 shots off target and failed to capitalize on any of their chances. Costa Rica ended up topping the group with 7 points, a result that no one could have predicted before the start of the tournament. A stale match that defined England's problems at this tournament, it can go into the D tier. Japan 1, Colombia 4. A match in which Japan would need a miracle of sorts to advance, while Colombia were looking pretty comfortable. Cuadrado opened the scoring with a penalty in the 17th minute, while Okazaki would equalize with a strong header in added time. Martinez would bag a brace with goals in the 55th and 82nd minute, with Rodriguez continuing his impressive run and scoring a beautiful goal in the 90th minute to seal a deal for Colombia. Colombia finished with 9 points and on top of Group C, while Japan found themselves in last place with 1 point. An entertaining entertaining game from start to finish, this match goes into the B tier. Greece 2, Ivory Coast 1. Both teams found themselves with the chance to advance to the next round, with Greece needing a win and Ivory Coast needing at least a draw. The European side would open the scoring in the 42nd minute after a defensive mistake from Tiote going into halftime with the lead. Bonnie would equalize in the 74th minute, which was crucial for Ivory Coast as it looked like they'd be moving on to the knockouts. A dramatic challenge in injury time led to a penalty for Greece, which Samaras would convert, giving Greece the win and sending Ivory Coast home. A wild game from start to finish with very late drama, this match goes into the B tier today. Nigeria 2, Argentina 3. Both teams were looking to secure their spots in the knockouts, and this match did not disappoint. Messi opened the scoring in the 3rd minute after scoring a rebound from Di Maria's shot. Nigeria were quick to respond, with Musa scoring Nigeria's first goal just 1 minute later. It looked to be heading to halftime as a draw, but Messi would score from a beautiful free kick, giving Argentina the lead. Nigeria came out of the break looking strong, with Musa scoring his second of the match in the 47th minute. Rojo would go on to score the game winner in the 50th minute from a corner, but both teams would end up qualifying for the knockout round. A super entertaining match from a neutral perspective, this match goes into the A tier. Bosnia and Herzegovina 3, Iran 1. The European side had already been eliminated at this point, but Iran had hoped that they could qualify. That hope faded quickly as Dzeko and Pjanic scored in the 23rd and 59th minute to give Bosnia a commanding lead. Iran would get one back in the 82nd minute, only to concede less than a minute later. Bosnia and Iran would be eliminated at the end of this match, but it was still an entertaining match nonetheless. A decent game that ended in heartbreak for both sides, this match goes into the C tier. Honduras 0, Switzerland 3. This match saw one man dismantle an entire squad with a crazy 3-goal performance. Shaqiri opened his scoring in the 6th minute with an absolute screamer from outside the box, which was one of the best goals of the tournament. 2 more goals in the 31st and 71st minutes would be enough for Switzerland to finish second in their group and saw them advance to the next round. Honduras would finish their 3rd ever World Cup without a win and saw their streak extend to 9 games. A solid showing from the Swiss side, this match goes into the B tier today. Ecuador 0, France 0. Ecuador went into this match knowing that they needed to have a great game in order to advance to the knockouts, but that wasn't seen on the pitch. France would go on to dominate possession and have more shots on target, and Ecuador's hopes were lost when Valencia was sent off for a high tackle, leaving them with 10 men and no captain. France would go on to top the group with 7 points, while Ecuador were the only South American team not to qualify for the knockouts. A pretty uneventful match for most of the 90 minutes, this game goes into the D tier. Portugal 2, Ghana 1. This match saw 2 teams who had to win and had to wait on the results of the other Group G match to finish before determining their fate. Portugal would get their first goal after an own goal in the 31st minute and would take that lead with them into halftime. Guyana would equalize for Ghana in the 57th minute after a beautiful cross. Ronaldo would score the winner for Portugal after a huge mistake from the Ghanaian goalkeeper, which would be enough to secure 3 points for the European side. Portugal would finish 3rd in their group with a worse goal differential than the United States, so both teams in this contest were sent home early. A decent match overall, it can go into the C tier. USA 0, Germany 1. A highly anticipated match between these two teams would see Germany come out on top in both the match and in the group. Even with a scoreless first half, Germany were dominating in terms of possession and had more shots on target. Their efforts would eventually lead to a goal, with Muller scoring his 4th of the tournament in the 55th minute. Both teams would end up qualifying for the round of 16, with the United States beating out Portugal on goal difference. A decent match that saw both teams advance, it can go into the C tier. South Korea 0, Belgium 1. The European nation had already qualified for the knockouts, and the Asian side would need a miracle to join them. The only highlights of this match were a red card for Defour in the 45th minute and a 78th minute goal from Vertonghen to seal a win for Belgium. South Korea would join the other Asian teams as they all finished last in their respective groups. An uneventful match, all things considered, this game goes into the D tier. Algeria 1, Russia 1. The final match of the group stages was also the one to decide who would make it out of Group H. Cochrane opened the scoring in the 6th minute with a powerful cross, and the game would stay 1-0 going to halftime. Slimani would score in the 60th minute from a header after Akinfeev left his line and mistimed his lunge. The goal would later be remembered after a fan shined a light in the Russian goalkeeper's eyes, which would become a talking point after the tournament. Regardless of the outcome, Algeria had done enough to move on to the next round, while Russia were sent home. An intriguing match to say the least, this game goes into the C tier. With the group stage concluding, it's time for the knockout rounds. Brazil 1, Chile 1. Brazil wins 3-2 on penalties. A crazy game that saw Chile push Brazil to the limit was the best way to start the round of 16. David Luiz scored the opener for Brazil in the 18th minute from a corner kick, but Sanchez would equalize 14 minutes later after a miscue on defense from the home side. Hulk would score in the second half, but had his goal disallowed, and Pinilla would come extra close in extra time with his shot hitting the crossbar. Nothing could separate these two teams after 120 minutes, so the game went to a penalty shootout. Brazil were looking worried as only 3 of their 5 penalty kicks managed to go in, but with Jara hitting the post on the final shot, the home side would win the game and move on to the quarterfinals. Brazil had truly been tested for the first time in the tournament, and Chile had given it their all, only to come up short. A great display of pure football action, this game goes into the S tier. Colombia 2, Uruguay 0. Uruguay were heading into this game without their star striker, and Colombia were looking to capitalize. Rodriguez would continue to impress the world after scoring an incredible volley from 25 yards out, which would end up being the goal of the tournament. He would add a second goal to his tally in the 50th minute as the Uruguayan defense had no answer for him. Colombia would go on to advance to the quarterfinals for the first time in their history, with Uruguay crashing out of the tournament. A great game with a truly great goal, this match goes into the B tier. Netherlands 2, Mexico 1. A match that is still shrouded in controversy to this day, was one of the biggest talking points at this stage of the tournament. A scoreless first half would see Dos Santos break the deadlock in the 48th minute with a great effort from outside the box. Mexico were on their way to breaking their round of 16 curse until the 88th minute when Schneider would blast a shot into the net from a corner kick, leveling the game at 1-1. The game was set for extra time until an almost certain dive from Robin gave the Dutch side a crucial penalty. Huntelaar would go on to convert the penalty, winning the match for the European side while simultaneously breaking the hearts of Mexican players and fans. A great game filled with late drama and excitement. This match goes into the A tier. Costa Rica 1, Greece 1. Costa Rica wins 5-3 on penalties. A matchup between two teams that most people would not have predicted to be in the knockouts produced an incredible game from start to finish. Ruiz would open the scoring in the 52nd minute, giving Costa Rica the lead. Duarte would receive a second yellow card in the 66th minute, meaning Greece had a one-man advantage over Costa Rica. The European side would leave it late, with Socrates scoring the equalizer in injury time. The game would remain level after extra time and was up to a penalty shootout to decide the winner. Costa Rica would convert all 5 of their spot kicks, with Greece missing their 4th attempt, resulting in their elimination from the tournament. Costa Rica's underdog story would continue as they progressed to the quarterfinals for the first time in their history. An underrated game that produced some great moments. It will go into the A tier. France 2, Nigeria 0. A game that is remembered for many missed calls from the referee against Nigeria would ultimately result in the French win. Both sides had many chances throughout the game, but it wasn't until the 79th minute that Pogba would score a header and open the scoring for France. The European side would get another goal in injury time after an own goal from Yobo, which would send Nigeria home and would see France off to the quarterfinals. Not the best game in terms of action or discipline, it can go into the C tier. Germany 2, Algeria 1. The Algerians put up a solid fight and really tested the German side in this match. Although neither team could break the deadlock in 90 minutes, both teams had solid chances and good goalkeeping on both ends would keep the score level until extra time. It wouldn't take long for the deadlock to be broken, with Schürrle scoring the opener in the 92nd minute. Ozil would extend the lead for the Germans in the 120th minute, with Algeria's Jabu scoring his goal in injury time just seconds later. It was a hard-fought battle from the Algerians, but Germany prevailed and would advance to the quarterfinals yet again. A solid game from both sides. This match goes into the B tier. Argentina 1, Switzerland 0. The South American side left it late as one goal would be the only thing separating these two teams. Switzerland had their fair share of chances, but Romero came up big and made some important stops. Argentina would dominate possession and their efforts would be rewarded in the 118th minute with Di Maria scoring the winning goal. A decent match from both teams. This game goes into the C tier. Belgium 2, USA 1. A once-in-a-lifetime performance from USA's Tim Howard would ultimately end in heartbreak for the North American side. Possession was even for most of the match, but Belgium were doing everything they could to score and would end up with 18 total shots on target. Howard refused to be beaten until the 93rd minute when De Bruyne slotted his shot into the right corner, breaking the deadlock. Lukaku would end up scoring Belgium's second goal of the night, and the States would get one back in the 107th minute, but it wouldn't be enough as Belgium would go through to the quarterfinals. Howard's 16 saves in a World Cup match is still the all-time record, and this truly was the performance of his career. An exciting game from start to finish. This match goes into the A tier today. France 0, Germany 1. A match that saw two great teams face off against one another proved to be a rather disappointing contest. The only goal of the match came from a beautiful header from Hummels, and Germany would maintain that lead all the way to the end. Possession was even between both teams, and all of France's 5 shots on target would be saved by Neuer. A rather uneventful game for a quarterfinals matchup. This contest goes into the C tier. Brazil 2, Colombia 1. A truly bittersweet victory for Brazil would see them move on to the semifinals while losing their star player in the process. Silva would open the score in the 7th minute for the home side, with Colombia thinking that they had equalized in the 66th minute, only for the goal to be overturned for offside. David Luiz would double the lead in the 69th minute with a stunning free kick, and it felt like Colombia were out of the game. Rodriguez would score his 6th goal of the tournament in the 80th minute from the penalty spot, but it would be his last as Colombia were sent home. The defining moment for Brazil in this tournament came in the 88th minute as Neymar was kneed in the back and would suffer a devastating injury, ending his World Cup campaign in agonizing fashion. A great game from both sides that won't be forgotten anytime soon. This match goes into the A tier. Argentina 1, Belgium 0. A highly anticipated matchup from two great sides did not produce anything particularly exciting. Higuain would score the only goal of the game in the 8th minute and would have a shot deflected off the crossbar later on in the second half. Possession was even between these two teams, and both sides only managed to have 2 shots on target each. A lackluster match in terms of action on the pitch. This match goes into the D tier. Netherlands 0, Costa Rica 0. Netherlands wins 4-3 on penalties. A match in which the Netherlands dominated almost every aspect of the game saw Costa Rica come ever so close to reaching the semifinals. A goalless 90 minutes saw Schneider hit the post and Van Persie hit the crossbar, with Costa Rica defending for their lives. The Dutch side had 12 shots on target compared to Costa Rica's 6 and controlled possession throughout the entire game. A historic substitution saw Tim Krul replace Sillissen in net for the Netherlands, which would prove crucial in the penalty shootout. Krul would save 2 of Costa Rica's penalties, with the Dutch side scoring all 4 of their spot kicks, securing them the win and a spot in the semifinals. A great game from both sides. This match goes into the A tier. Brazil 1, Germany 7. A historic game that will be talked about for many years to come produced a scoreline that no one could have possibly predicted. With Neymar due to injury and Thiago Silva suspended, Brazil went into this match with a few changes to their lineup. Muller would be the first on the score sheet, but that was only the beginning of the end for the home side. In what is easily the worst 10 minutes in Brazilian football history, Germany managed to score 4 goals in the 23rd, 24th, 26th, and 29th minutes, turning a 1-0 game into a 5-0 game in the blink of an eye, and sending an entire nation's hopes of glory down the drain. Germany wouldn't stop there, as 2 more goals in the 69th and 79th minutes brought their lead up to 7-0. Oscar would score Brazil's consolation goal in the 90th minute, bringing an end to the most unthinkable scoreline in World Cup history. Germany would book their spot in the finals, while Brazil would have to accept the reality of being eliminated at their own World Cup. One of the craziest games of football we will ever see, this match goes into the S tier. Netherlands 0, Argentina 0, Argentina wins 4-2 on penalties. The first World Cup semi-final to end in a goalless draw was about as even as a match can be. Both sides had their chances in regular time, but neither team was able to get the job done. The game would go down to penalties with Vlar and Schneider missing their spot kicks after 2 great saves from Romero. Rodriguez would score the winning penalty as Argentina moved on to the finals, with the Netherlands settling for the 3rd place playoff. An entertaining game that went right down to the wire. This match goes into the B tier today. Brazil 0, Netherlands 3. An exciting matchup to determine the bronze medal winners of the 2014 World Cup was actually quite entertaining. Van Persie opened the scoring in the 3rd minute with a goal from the penalty spot, and Blind would add to the tally in the 17th minute. Brazil would dominate possession, but their 2 shots on target would not be enough as Wijnaldum scored the 3rd and final goal in injury time. Brazil's campaign would end in embarrassing fashion as they conceded 14 goals throughout the tournament, the most conceded by a World Cup host in history. A decent game overall, this match goes into the B tier today. With the final match of the 2014 FIFA World Cup, the stage was set for Germany and Argentina to fight for the title for the 3rd time in history. Would Germany manage to repeat their victory from the 1990 World Cup, or would Argentina triumph yet again like they had done in 1986? The entire world was ready for a thrilling World Cup final, and that's exactly what we got. Germany 1, Argentina 0. Only one goal would be enough to separate these two teams, and that goal would come 113 minutes after kickoff. In the first half, a defensive mistake by the Germans gave Higuain an opportunity on a silver platter, but he dragged a shot wide, missing the net. He would have another chance just minutes later, but his goal would be waved off for offside. Germany would come ever so close to scoring, but the post would prevail, preventing them from going 1-0 up. Messi would have Argentina's best chance in the second half, but his shot was too far to the right, missing the target. Mario Götze would come on for Miroslav Klose in the 88th minute, a substitution that would change history forever. In the 113th minute, Schürrle would end up crossing the ball to Götze, who controlled the ball on his chest and scored a beautiful volley, which would be the game winner for Germany. Germany would go on to win their 4th World Cup, while Messi and Argentina had to settle for the runners-up medal. A wild game to cap off a truly great tournament. This match goes into the S tier. And there you have it, we've ranked every match from the 2014 FIFA World Cup. This tournament was truly special, and some of these moments will never be forgotten. Whether it was the crazy goals, crazy scorelines, or crazy atmosphere of the fans in the stadiums, this tournament had it all, and it will always be looked back on as one of the best World Cups in recent memory. Let me know what you think down below, and I'll catch you next time.